I can't act like everybody cause I'm different. I can't walk like everybody cause I'm different. I can't please everybody cause I'm different. I can't mess with everybody, so I'm sorry if I'm inconsistent. I can't try to look like you, I just ain't got the time. I don't wanna move like you, I walk a different line. Yeah, they keep pulling me, yeah, they keep pushing me, yeah, they keep pulling me. And that's why I can't act like everybody cause I'm different. I can't walk like everybody cause I'm different. I can't please everybody cause I'm different. I can't mess with everybody, so I'm sorry if I'm inconsistent. I can't act like everybody cause I'm different. I can't walk like everybody cause I'm different. I can't please everybody cause I'm different. I can't mess with everybody, so I'm sorry if I'm inconsistent.
Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome to Different Church's YouTube campus. Do me a favor before we continue, go ahead and hit subscribe, notification bell so you can be up to date with all the sermons we drop. Alright, now that you're here, go ahead and check out all of our other social medias, Facebook, Instagram. Check us out, Different Church Nashville, just so you can be up to date with what we have. Alright, and now if you're feeling led to, if God's calling you, go ahead and head to the website, dfrnt.church, hit the generosity tab, and feel whatever you are led to do. And I pray that God will just lead you in this lesson. So let's get to it.
What's your biggest ick?
So what gives you the ick with girls?
What's one of your icks when it comes to guys?
Girls who they over obsess about their celebrity crushes and that.
I guess like the thought of him like bumping into something and being nonchalant about it.
People who ride skateboards.
If they don't believe in astrology.
Honestly, clinginess.
Dude, I think it's Instagram boomerang girls where they're always like up on a pole. They're like that. That's kind of weird.
When a guy wears a fanny pack like right here.
And if she likes mayonnaise, I'm out.
If you're following more than like 600 people on Instagram.
I got the ick.
You got the ick?
Is picturing the guy trying to get out of a ball pit.
Different church. Hey, everybody in house, how are we feeling this morning? Okay. Hey, everybody online, whether YouTube, podcast, whatever. We all make some noise, and we say it all the time. If you're at work listening on podcasts, do not make some noise. You are not going to get fired. You are not going to hop in our comment section, our email section, and say, you fired me. Go ahead and pay me. We're not doing it. But if you will, make some noise, whatever. If you're in your dorm room, maybe you're on your treadmill, you're running, whatever. I like to listen to our podcast while I'm running. It kind of gets me through something. I'm like, oh, that's a good word, preacher. Then I'm like, oh, that's me. I'm sorry. I thought it was pretty good. We're in a series called ICKS, okay? And if you're like over 25, okay? If you're over 25, this is new to me. My team comes to me, and I had some old school like series titles. I was like, man, there's a new app called Be Real. I just think we all need to just be real. And then I was like, relationship. Like it's a boat, and there are different parts, and everyone's younger than me in the meeting, and they're like, no, don't do that. What if we did something called ICKS? And I was like, that's cool, man. What is it? I've been married for like 10 years, almost 10 years. I've been married. Don't tell my wife. I don't think she's in here. I've been married for almost 10 years. And they're like, well, an ick is, for anyone that doesn't know what an ick is, it's that thing that just like when somebody does it, right? They chew with their mouth open, and you're just like, bro, stop, I'm gonna stab you. Like, I'm not playing this, I'm not doing this. A lot of people's is cussing. Like, I don't like people that cuss. I don't like people that smoke cigarettes. I don't like, right? Your ick. What is your ick? And I think that they're funny. I think some of the things I've seen are funny. I've watched a bunch of street interviews. Hey, what's your ick? What's your ick? What's your ick? You know what I've never heard was an ick in somebody? They don't pray for me. Y'all better stop. You know what I never heard an ick was? When they don't come to church with me, when they don't worship with me, when they don't do a Bible study with me. You know how many people, listen, you know how many people have lists of like, this is what my significant other has to do? And you know what it is? They got to make 6 figures. They got to have 10,000 followers on Instagram. They got to have this. They got to look like this. They got to be this tall. They got to be this short. They got to have this color hair. They got to have this color eyes. They got to be D1 so I have athletic children. They never say they've got to be a prayer warrior. They have got to be in the Word more than they're on their phone. They've got to be in church serving, whether it's in kids ministry. That's how, listen, ladies, that's how you know if this man is good with children. Does he serve the children in his church? And if he can do that and not make any money doing it, just because God called him to it, that's a man that you can probably go, he is passionate to lead the next generation, and I can lead a life with him. But we have the wrong icks. I'm sorry if we're already getting online. I'm sorry if we're already getting into it, man. This has been something inside, like relationships has been something inside of me for the last couple months. And man, I've just been praying for you, for your marriage, for your children, whatever. That as we walk through relationships, that we become everything God's created us to be. But how do I know if I need a relationship? And when we say relationships online, listen, if we say relationships, I'm not talking about somebody that you go on a date with. I am also talking about your employees. I am also talking about your coworkers. I'm talking about your friends. I'm talking about people that you have in your life. How do I know I need these people in my life? And the Word says it. This is not something that you've got to go to a self-help book and try to figure out the answer. None of that. Listen, if you have a Bible, turn to Ecclesiastes 4. It tells you why you have somebody in your life. And it'll tell you, am I answering the right questions? Because a lot of times you're not even answering the questions that need to be asked.
You're going, man, they got to be this tall. Bro, spiritually, they're only this tall. Why do you care if he's 6 foot? He's only this tall spiritually. He can't lead you. Why would you want a lady to look like this whenever spiritually she only looks like this? Why would you let her touch your calling? Why would you let her touch your future? Why would you let her touch the thing God put in you? But we don't value the thing God put in us, so we'll let anyone touch it. I'll say it again real quick for somebody online. We don't know what we have inside of us. Therefore, we just let anyone touch the calling God put on our life. If you have a Bible, turn to Ecclesiastes 4, verse 9. If you want to play karaoke, it'll be on the screen. Look at this. Verse 9. 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Verse 11. Likewise, 2 people lying close together can keep each other warm, but how can one be warm alone? Verse 12, and we're done. That's it. A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but 2 can stand back to back and conquer. And then it says 3 are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. Let's go back to verse 9. Look at what it says. This is how do I know if the person I'm next to, if the person I'm doing life with, you don't have to be married to them to do life with them. I had some roommates who were right next to me my whole life, and they were not good for me. But I was so worried trying to get the date. I was so worried trying to get the spouse. I didn't have the right people with me before I got married. It is detrimental in you moving forward, having the right people. Look what it says, verse 9, right at the beginning. 2 people are better off than one. What's it say after this? For they can help each other what? Succeed. Does the person next to me help me succeed? That's the question. Do they make you better? That's the question. Why do you want to date? Oh, well, I'm lonely. Stop. Is bringing someone in your life right now helping you succeed? Or is it pulling you down? Because you can be in a relationship and it not be this. Ask me how I know. I've been there. I've had a few. I've had a bunch. I've only had one good one, can I be honest with you? And it's the one I've been in for 9, almost 10 years. I've only had one good one. So that means I've had about 20-some, I don't even know, bad ones that didn't help me succeed. You've got to ask yourself, does the person next to me help me succeed? Or you can ask yourself this question. Before you started dating, did you pray more? Before you started dating, did you read the Bible more? Before you started dating, did you serve in church more? Did you worship more? Because you will give your eternal calling to a temporary person. And they will leave it in shambles if you're not careful. They have to make you better in every aspect. And so if you are in a relationship, the easy thing is, was I better before I met them or am I better now? I know a lot of people that they'll start dating and then that person doesn't read as much, so they kind of get out of the routine, or they start hanging out with a group of people that go certain places that they didn't used to go to, but now they go to because they spend time with them. Are you better? Are your finances better with them in your life? Friends, dating, marriage? Is your marriage better because you have the friends around you? Or do they just talk about their spouses like you talk about your spouse now? Is the person you're with right now, do you think that they're praying for you right now? Online. The person you're with right now, are they praying for you right now? You've got to ask yourself these questions. Are they praying for me? But we have the wrong ICKS, don't we? We'll say, man, I want a guy that talks to me all day long. No, you need a guy that prays for you all day long. Man, I want a girl that looks like this, that does this, whatever. No, you need a woman that's in worship, that's in prayer, that's in the Word, because you're attaching your calling. You're attaching your favor. You're attaching what God gave you, and you're allowing them to touch it. And we cannot give valuable items to immature people. We can't. But you'll get mad at God for somebody you allowed in your life to touch. And you'll say, God, why'd you do it? He said, why'd you do it? Well, God, why'd you do it? Why'd you show me? He said, you stopped reading. You stopped talking to me. What, do you need a bigger sign than that? We got to start interviewing people. Can I be honest with you? Friends, dating, we got to start interviewing people. When a company goes to hire somebody, they put them through an interview process, right? Why? They're trying to see, they're not going to change their culture. They're not going to change their vision for this person. They're trying to see if this person fits within the culture and the vision of where they're going. But we lower our standards to accommodate people because we're lonely. We cannot value fulfilling our loneliness more than we value our calling, because you will give up your calling because you were lonely for a night, for 2 nights, for 3 nights. We're not doing this. I am now asking the tough questions. Do you read? Do you pray for your calling? Because if they don't pray for their calling, they're not going to pray for your calling. Do you worship? How often do you, not just do you worship, they might know a chorus. I don't need you to know a chorus. How often do you worship? How often do you pray? How often do you read His Word? How often are you at church? I know you know the Easter special. I need to know if you know the series this week. I need to know. We got to start asking tough questions so we get real answers from people, because you're allowing immature people to touch valuable things. We cannot do this anymore. We cannot. If you do not help me succeed. Hey, fellas, hey, online, if you message me, say, man, Tyler, I want to get connected with you. I want to hang out with you. I'm going to ask you, what are we doing? Where are we going? Because God put something in me. Every friend is not really your friend. Every friend is not godly, but just because, I don't have anyone to talk to, and they invited me out to do this thing. And now they're inviting me to do this, and now I'm doing this thing that coincides with, well, I had a Bible study, but my girls are telling me to hang out over here, so I'm going to go over here. You see how easy it is to skew? You see how easy it is to get away from the spiritual whenever you crave something in the physical? It is so easy to give up the spiritual when you crave something in the physical. Single men, single women, it is so easy. It is so easy because you're lonely one night that you'll send a message to someone you know God didn't call you to send the message to. That is the enemy tempting you in your loneliness. The enemy does not attack bad Christians. He attacks lonely Christians. And you're lonely right now. But Jesus was lonely. And that's when the enemy attacked him. He was tempted in the wilderness by himself. Right now you're in a season where the enemy's tempting you in your loneliness. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. But in the moment, you see how easy it is? And it's so scary. I just have to continue to ask myself, am I better before I met this person? And if I'm dating them and I'm not, I've got to leave. Because before they held your hand, Jesus held the cross for you. The spiritual is more valuable than the physical. But you cannot give things up just because you're lonely today. It says, verse 9, 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. Verse 10, if one person falls, the other can reach out and help, but someone who falls alone is in real trouble. This isn't even about relationships, is it? It's about loneliness. He keeps saying alone. Alone. I feel alone. Someone who feels alone. This isn't, because I've been in rooms with thousands of people and still felt alone. Not been able to talk to somebody. But not every person that's in front of you is for you. Not every person that DMs you is a message from God, okay? I just want to let you know, you're praying for us. Listen, you're praying for a spouse right now. Not every DM you get after that prayer is a sign from God. Can I tell you that? It's not. You have got to walk them through the process. Do you read the Word? Do you pray to God? When was the last time you worshiped all day long? When was the last time you served in your church? When was the last time you were generous to the person on the street? When was the last time the offering bucket passed and you said, you know what, in faith, I'm going to give today. I need some people in my life that are ahead of me, that I can catch up to. I don't need people that I'm dragging my whole calling. I'm just dragging other people that want to be called, that feel like they're, no. I need to be around some people that know where they're going. And I used to think I was really, like when I got the revelation of God put something inside of me. Whenever we really began to walk out our calling, I used to think like, am I too much? We talked about it last week. Am I too much? Like, I can't just let anyone, you want to gossip around me? I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'll call the person. We can FaceTime them right now. We can talk about it. What God's put in me is too much. I'm telling you. And I used to think that I was a little like standoffish. But God began to reveal things to me. You're not. You're not judging them. You're judging yourself. And I can't just allow anyone to talk to me how they want to talk to me. I can't allow everyone to speak into me how they want to speak into me. There were family members. Listen, they say, hey man, it's your blood, it's your family. They weren't speaking what the word spoke over me. So I can't allow that into my life, into my children's life. I can't do it into my marriage. I used to think it was judgy. I remember back in the day, I used to go to the club, okay? I used Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and if we were really thirsty, Sunday, okay? I remember 3 days of my week I would spend at night, I'd go to the club, and we'd be in line, and you would think they would let anyone in the club, right? It's a club. They don't. If you got to where the bouncer was and you were wearing a hat, most of the time they wouldn't let you in. If you were wearing baggy clothes, they wouldn't let you in. If you had a backpack, they wouldn't let you in. If you wore shorts, they wouldn't let you in. If you wore certain colors, they wouldn't let you in. Because they hate the person? No. Because they're protecting the people that are inside. Those people were valuable to the club. Therefore, they didn't allow just anyone in because it could hurt the people that were inside. Spiritually, there are some things you can't allow in your life. Not because you hate the person, not because you hate what's going on over here, but because what's inside of you is so valuable, you just can't let everyone touch it. You just can't. And if the club has those kinds of standards, shouldn't us as believers that are called by Jesus Christ, I can't allow you who talk like that into my life. I just can't. I'm too valuable. It's too valuable. That tripped me out, man. Whenever I was singing, I was like, man, the club has more standards than the church does. We just let anyone in just so there are more people in the room. That's crazy. That's crazy. And they'll hurt the culture you're trying to create. At your company, you're a business. Can we just talk for a second? As a business owner, as a parent, as a husband, you cannot allow, as a wife, more people doesn't mean more power. Which would you rather have, 4 quarters or 100 pennies? Same value, isn't it? Which would you rather have? The less. There's less going on, but you have the same amount of power. We've really believed this lie that more people equals more power. No. Jesus is always like, hey, you go do you. This is my group right here. You go do what I've called you to do, but do it over there. Because this has already been established. And in your relationships, you'll think more friends means more fun. You'll learn. You'll learn, I'm telling you. You'll learn. But look at this. Okay, we got to keep going. I'm sorry. 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. Verse 10, if one person falls, the other can reach out and do what? Help. There's that word again, help. Why do I have people in my life? To help me. Help me. I've fallen. I need help. But you know what I was thinking? Because I had this message, right, where I was like, man, but you got people around you that'll kick you rather than help you. And all the people said, amen, right? I had something like that, right? I was writing, and then I started scribbling it out. Because no one even knows we've fallen, have they? We wouldn't tell people we've fallen if we did. Why would God send you a relationship if you wouldn't use the relationship the way God wanted you to use the relationship? Let me say this one more time. Why would God send you the relationship that you crave and you desire if you're not going to use the relationship how God intended you to use the relationship? We say it all the time, God is the greatest steward. So why would he give me something that I'm not mature enough to hold yet? Don't pray for more miracles, pray for more maturity. I need to be mature enough to hold the thing God sent me. But we don't even share that we're struggling, do we? When was the last time you texted your friend and said, or told your wife, hey, I sinned today, I need you to pray for me? When was the last time? It's been a long time, hasn't it? When was the last time you did it? But that's what they're there for, to help. So as I was writing, y'all are going to get mad at me. Well, while I was writing, this phrase, I've fallen and I can't get up, kept. You know what this is? This is a life alert. You remember the commercials back in the day where there'd be an older lady and she's laying on the ground and now it's a meme, but she would say, help, I've fallen and I can't get up. So what would she do? She had this thing near her and she would press the button and this button says help. She would press the button and it would alert somebody that she is in a life or death situation. Therefore, I need someone to come intervene and help me. I used to laugh at that a long time ago. Now I'm 30 years old and I've spiritually fallen. You've fallen into sin. I've fallen into sin. I've fallen into temptation. I can't get up without someone else's help. But you would rather die in your sin. You would rather die in your addiction, your pornography addiction, in your lust, in your alcoholism. You would rather lay there and die than click a button and let people know you struggle. Listen, you do struggle. This is life or death. You need someone to help you. You need Jesus to intervene, but you also need a friend to come alongside of you and say, I got you. I'm not snitching on you. I'm not talking about you at church lunch. I'm here right now. You've fallen. Let me help you up. But we would never click this button, would we? If someone knew the sin, and Olivia, if you want to, just come play. Thank you. Because what does this tell people? I'm a sinner. What does this tell somebody? I'm struggling. What does this tell somebody? Well, now you know my secrets. We've already talked about it. There are no secret sins. Jesus knows everything. The Holy Spirit, listen, you know what scares me sometimes? The Holy Spirit lives inside of me. He just watches. I think sometimes he laughs. I think sometimes he cries. But he's there. And he's put people in our lives, married people, and I know online, married people. Your spouse is there to help you, not hurt you. You're not called to be right all the time. You're called to be righteous all the time. You need their help. I know, ladies, I know you're saying, I do. If I need my husband's help, I am in trouble. No, you need his help. You need his help. Husbands, your wife has answers to questions you can't answer right now. You need their help. If you're dating, if you're living with somebody, if you've got a fiance, do they help you when you fall? Do they help you when you fall? We've probably all dated somebody before, even if you're single. Do they help you when you fall? Or do they point out that you fell? Glad it wasn't me. At least it wasn't me. How could you? Or do they put the hand out and say, hey, come on. God called you to something great. Come on. Come on. But you'll surround yourself around people that you feel like you can't press this button with. No. If I text you and say, hey, I need your help. I don't care if you judge me, talk about me. I don't care. I need to get up. And that's why me and the team here, and I mean, I guess if you're watching online, me and the team here are working on, there's something called Discord, and we're working on a chat for young men and women who struggle with pornography, where they're able to anonymously reach out to us and get prayer over their addiction. Because there's too many people that struggle. And there are other, I'm not saying there are other, but there are so many ways that people help other people. But it seems like this, we get messages on TikTok all the time. Hey, I'm struggling with this. How? Hundreds of those messages of young men and young women reaching out about this one issue that it seems like they're. So we're just going to start a chat. And if you want to hop in and be praying for somebody, or you struggle, I'll be in that thing. I want someone to know they can press the button for help. We're not going to judge you. I'm not going to put your name on the screen. I'm not going to put you in the bulletin or put you on our TikTok. I just want you to know you have help. And if you serve at our church and you struggle with a private sin, you're not going to lose a position because you sin. That is the biggest lie I've ever. You are not going to lose a position because you sin. God called you to that position, and He knew you were going to sin. Do not be scared. If you're a leader in this church or a leader online, do not be scared to admit that you sin. God calls you to the position you're in way before whenever he knew you were going to sin. So I just want anyone in-house or in person, if you struggle with the sin, I would rather you come and find healing. It's not worth it. The position is still there. Don't stress that. Don't stress that. Don't stress that. I want us to be okay. I don't care if this works, online works. I don't care. I want you to be okay. Reach out and help. But someone who falls, and what's this word? Alone, is in real trouble. This is less about relationships and more about loneliness. What do I do when I'm lonely? And lonely is not one person in a room by themselves. Lonely is I don't feel like I can talk to somebody. Nobody will help me. Nobody will help me. I preached in front of thousands of people. Not one of them said, hey, how can I help you? And I struggle with sin. I didn't feel like I could talk to anybody though. There are times in my marriage where I didn't feel like I could talk to my wife about things I was struggling with. And then I wondered why my marriage was suffering while communication was suffering. I felt alone in my marriage. My wife had felt alone in our marriage. You can feel alone in a room full of people. That's what he's saying. Hey, be careful when you're alone. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Verse 11, likewise, two people lying together can keep each other warm. But how can one warm themselves alone? Again, you're going to do something to keep yourself warm. You're going to do something to keep yourself warm. And do I think it's coincidence that when the Holy Spirit came down, it came down with tongues of fire? No, I don't think that's coincidence. That's why you have a friend that lives inside of you, somebody speaking to you all the time. You're never lonely. But it's when you try to quench this thirst in the temporary, in the physical, and you'll give up the eternal that you're called to. And that's when it gets scary. That's when you do something that will hurt you for a long time. Do not warm yourself alone. Likewise, two people lying together can keep each other warm, but how can one be warm alone? Look at this, verse 12, and we kind of already talked about it. A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated. A person standing alone can be attacked. The devil does not attack bad Christians. He attacks lonely Christians. The person that feels like they have no one to talk to. The person who thinks they have nowhere to go. The person that thinks they have nowhere to run. That's who he attacks. The lonely. There's that parable of the 99 sheep. Oh, well, and there was one, right? There was one that was gone, that was lonely. Why was he so passionate about getting this one back to the flock? Because he knew there was power in companionship. This is a passage about companionship, it says. But when you're alone, you can be attacked. If you look up any statistics of people that have been assaulted or robbed or anything, who gets robbed the most? The person walking alone. Isn't it crazy how whenever you walk in the dark by yourself, when you leave a room by yourself and it's dark in your house and you kind of run out really fast and you slow down when you get around people because you don't want them to know you're still scared of the dark and you're 30 years old. I'm not talking about myself, I'm just saying. But isn't it crazy how that same room, if you're walking with another person, how you'll walk with a different confidence and you'll walk with a different swagger? Isn't it crazy when you really surround yourself with people that walk with the same calling and the same passion? When you realize you have the living God living inside of you and everywhere, you're not scared of the dark anymore. I'm not scared of the same things because I'm not alone. Because I'm not alone. But that's who he's coming after. And can I be honest with you? Before we talk about dating, before we talk about marriage, before we talk about sex, before we talk about anything, we have to talk about loneliness. because you can be in a marriage, and ask me how I know. Me and my wife have both been lonely in the same bed, thinking that we were keeping each other warm, and we weren't. We weren't talking about anything outside of what we had to do the next day. We were lonely. You can be lonely in a marriage. You can be lonely with roommates. You can be lonely when you're single. I know single people that are less lonely than married people. Will you ask for help this week? That's it. That's literally it. I know that, oh man, Tyler, I want something really deep and theological. Will you ask for help? Will you cry out this week? First, you guys already know, the one who came to live inside of you, whether anyone else wants to live around you or not. Will you ask him for help? God, I'm lonely. I haven't been able to talk to nobody about this thing I'm struggling with inside internally. But I know you understand. But hey, if you're married and online in this room, will you ask your spouse if they're okay? Will you ask your spouse just later this week? Are you okay? Because I've been meaning to ask you something. I've been meaning to tell you something. I hope you don't freak out. It's been pretty lonely. Present help. Maybe you're single. Maybe you're dating. You really need to ask yourself, are the people I even have around you, could I ask them for help? Can I even run to them if I was struggling? Or would they laugh at me if I was struggling? Ask yourself that. Is the person I'm dating, when was the last time I prayed with them? Hey, married people, when was the last time you prayed together? When was the last time you read the Bible together? When was the last time you just sat and worshiped and spoke about the future together? But if you're dating, when was the last time you were prayed over? If they're not doing it while you're dating, they're definitely not going to do it when you're married. Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. I used to be a prayer warrior when we were dating. And then I kind of forgot about it and had to pick it up. Then I'll forget about it and I got to pick it back up. Then I'll forget about it. I used to do all the right things then. If you can't even do it then, you're definitely not going to do it later on. They're not going to do it for your children. They're not. Says my prayer. Someone's lonely. I know. I'm excited about this series. I really am. Like, man, I haven't been like this full of something in a while, but before we could do anything else, why do I even need someone next to me? Will they make you better? Do they make you better? Jesus, we love you. We thank you. We praise you. God, I've been in a crowded room, not able to talk to anybody. Somebody in this room, somebody online, even myself, there are things that I struggle with that nobody else knows, and that's not what you created me to do. That's not what you created companionship to do. That's not what you created relationships to do. You created me to be able to come to a brother in Christ and say, I'm struggling, help me up. Don't laugh at me, help me. Don't hurt me, help me. Don't talk to other people about it, talk to me about it, help me. But God, I'm sorry when I haven't even ran to you. How am I supposed to talk to someone else if I haven't even talked to you? God, I've sinned. I'm struggling. I'm broken. I'm hurting. Help me today. Help me. And if anybody's dating in here or online and they're in a relationship that there is no spiritual aspect, either they'd leave because you held the cross before that person ever held their hand, or that they'd begin to set the tone, that they'd raise the standard, that they'd raise the expectation of a relationship. Because as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, because you have done too much for me. You have done too much for me to just sit here. Lord, we love you. We thank you. We praise you. It's your name we pray, and everybody said, amen. Hey, what's up? My name's Tyler, and you are a part of our Different Church YouTube campus. And I just want to say thank you. I'm the pastor here. And here's a few things that you can do to stay a part. 1, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Be alerted anytime something drops or releases. We want you to be a part, we want you to be encouraged and inspired and figure out what your different is. But maybe you want to tell your auntie, your uncle, your cousin, whoever. Maybe you want to send that, just share it. Because what I've learned in ministry, people will open a link to a church long before they ever open the door to a church. And maybe you're on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. Follow us, Different Church Nashville. Be a part, see what we're doing every single day. And maybe, last but not least, you're an OG, you're a real one. You really want to get plugged in. All you got to do is go to different.church. That's DFRNT.church to find out more about us, the church, how to give, how to be a part, all of that. But I love you, and I will see you next video.